So this is what the product looks like on my local box, and this is what it looks like when it's been hosted in AWS S3 buckets. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I was able to start this project, and just got to finish it pretty much. So now still cleaning up a bit. Well, this is Blessed, and if you're wondering, it's another time with Blessed, cool time probably. I'll be showcasing how to build your static portfolio website. Basic, as it might seem, pretty static, but it's something that you can play around with to make it a bit dynamic based on how you continue to modify or make changes to it. Enough for the chitty chatting. Let's get right into this business. So this is what it looks like. The code. I'm using my Visual Studio Code here, but I've got this in my GitHub repo, so you may want to go check that out also. So doing the finishing touches, but this is what it looks like in my Visual Studio Code. So this is just a basic HTML file, and where I have done all the build, all the href links, and all the CSS styling sheets being referenced all right there, pulling from libraries, and having me get what I have as it is at the moment. I won't bug you with this. I'll just go straight into how I'm able to host this in AWS using you can use the free AWS account. I got it hooked up to my email address, so pretty cool. Over here we can see I've got the file also local on my just give me a minute. Let me pull out my, if I can find, okay, don't worry about that. I think it's right here. It's in my local box, and these are the files. Got the CSS file in here with strap happening in there. Then we've got the images which I'm loading. Then we've got the JavaScripts, pretty cool stuff. That you want to check them out, just go to my GitHub repo. You find them in the favicon, as well as the libraries that are being loaded for the front end. So this is basically a front end, and since it's front end, I only use the S3 bucket and creating that domain in Route 53. I didn't have to do any Lambda function because I'm not having any server side code being run, because no PHP, no whatever you want to call it, either PHP or maybe the what are they called again? Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Great. So let me jump into showing you how to. Right here in my AWS accounts, you can see I've got 3 buckets. Now, best security practice is always a good thing to have them. Do not put everything in one box. They happen to be compromised. Obviously, if it becomes a messed up stuff. So what I've done is in this IAM, I have created 3 S3 buckets. One of them is hosting my resume, my CV. You can see it's public facing, accessible public. Then this other one is actually hosting the web application files. I open it up, you see all that in here. I moved them in here. Then the third one is the redirect. So basically you visit this, it points you back to where the files are being hosted, and you can fetch your files from there. So as it starts, it's simply searching S3 buckets. If you're starting this from scratch, let's say you have the code in your local box, you can just search for S3 buckets, open S3 buckets. Then the variable minimum, you should be able to create a bucket. So you can actually, you'll be greeted with this pretty cool. I think this is the new interface. So you can click on create a bucket. I'm not going to create anyone, just going to walk you through. You can give it a bucket name, a unique name. You can select the region which is closer to you, so you can have that routing speed. Then if you want to set an ACL, but it's always recommended to disable at the start. So when you're done building, then you want to host this thing, you can now go set up some rules, to policies to help users being able to access this stuff. So currently, you can disable this, block all this, and the variable minimum, maybe you can server-side encryption if you want it, version, and if you want to have multiple versions of your code in there so it doesn't override on it. Then you can create the bucket. So when you create the buckets, you will have, I'm not going to do that, you will have something like this over here, so you can see, and then you can upload a file. So uploading a file, you can basically grab all these files, just drag and drop them in here. I'm not going to do that because I have them already. You can drag and drop. It's better to drag and drop if you have folders than to use the add file. If you use the add file, you have to do add folder as well. So just drag and drop everything in there. You have, in my case, I already have the files in there. Then if I go back to the bucket, we can see that I can start playing with these buckets. So currently this is what the object that is in the bucket, just my CV. Then the property, this is for my CV buckets. The property, I have to look for a way to be able to allow users from outside to access this stuff. So I needed to do a little bit of tweaking on the permissions. So going over to the permissions, I made this public. You can edit this and just disable this, which was there at the start. Then quickly, you want to be sure you have actually created a bucket policy. So you can see I have a basic bucket policy here, which will allow that public read and get objects, but not to write. So it can read and get. It can get everything in the content of the resume bucket because it's only what I have in there. Then you can make sure you configure the access control. So if you look at that access control, if you do not configure these to have list and read, they still won't be able to access the content because what will be valid at the moment will just be the IAM that is hosting this bucket. So I had to do this. Now I can add a couple of other rules here just to make it a bit flexible, but not for today. Okay, so you can click understand this stuff and save your changes. Getting out of this, you should have this publicly facing at the variable minimum. You can actually reach it from the link here. You can copy that link and you'll be able to reach it. So you have it running. Then you can do the same thing which I had done for these two. Now this two is where the domain comes into picture. So this one, I created both of them because I know I was going to be procuring this domain from the Route 53 Amazon. So I used this .com, and I used the subdomain .com. So in this is where I kept all my static files. So you can see I just dragged all these things here and dumped them in here. Basically, that's all I needed to do. I don't know my modifications changes here, and you can see when I showed you this is actually being hosted from my local server. You can see the address there. It's been hosted from my local server, so it's pretty fine as it is here. Then it means it's good to go. So I didn't have to start making any changes, just drag and drop it in here. Then the same thing, ensure you have a permission set, ensure you create at least the variable minimum, the bucket policy with which user can be able to access this stuff. Then if all that is done, also ensure that you give them that read access, then the list access, so they can actually see the content and they can read it. Well, listing is not really necessary per se, but I just leave it there in case someone wants to see what's in the content of the bucket. But obviously there's nothing private in there, so just read should be fine. Not having to list the object, which is not a good security practice. Okay, so this is fine. Then I can go back and for this second one, all I had to do was just to create it. If you see there's nothing in here, if I go over to the permissions, you can see that it's currently block all public access, so no public access to this, because I'll be using this to do my domain front end, kind of like my redirect. So basically no policy here, nothing. It's just to have it in there. Then once all buckets are created, you want to go over to Route 53. So you can search Route 53 from here again. You'll find Route 53. So you can click on Route 53. It's going to open Route 53, which looks something like this for you. So at the moment, when you open it, if you have a domain already, you should see what you have as a domain. But if you don't, then you can actually register a domain. You come in here, search for the domain you want to register. I already have bless.uyo, sorry, at .com. I already have this one. So if I check, it should tell me that someone is already using it, which is me. So just to show you, you can search, then if it's available, you can add to your cart and you can pay for it. So this is unavailable because I'm currently using it. So just showing you how that works. I'm going to go back here. So once you go through the domain registration process, which is just basic, register the stuff, fill in the domain admin credentials, not really name, just your email, the phone number, address. If you want to, you can make that public or you can hide that as well for security reasons anyways. You're good to go. You should. Mine took, I think I have to commend Amazon here for this. Mine took less than, I think it was less than 10 minutes. Initially, I thought it was going to take 2 hours. I think some 2 years ago, this is something that could take probably a whole day or even 48 hours, but mine took barely 10 minutes and it was up and running. That was pretty wild. You're going to receive the email, which we had used as the registrant email to validate. If you don't validate, you'll be seeing an error over here telling you that you might shut down this domain. But once you validate it from the email which you receive, you're good to go. So we have a domain as it is. Then what do we need to do here? Now we need to try and make sure we set this domain to be able to connect to our bucket. So if someone visits this domain, they can fetch resources from our buckets. If I go over here, hosted zones, basically, I will see, trying to make this pretty fast, so I don't want this too long. I will see that domain here. Then currently I changed it to public. So I can click on it. If I click on it, then I can start making the necessary changes. So if you look at what I've done here, I've created an A record for both buckets that I have created. Then this comes by default. The NS record and the SOA, Service Authority, comes by default. So currently there is no DNS sec and signing happening in there because I'm just using it there. I didn't even probably configure anything like maybe Cloud Lambda function to, or Cloud Trail to be able to Cloud Formation to be able to do maybe the HTTPS redirecting. It's just my CV that is on the website, so I don't care anyways. So over here you can create a record. If you click create a record, let me show you how that works. If you currently, the first one which you will see should be on that the direct domain without the www, that the subdomain. Then you want to create which record? I want to create a record, which I already have. I want to create triple AAA, quadruple A record, which is for DNS IPv6. I can as well do that, but I don't need it anyways. If I want to create a pointer record, I can do that, mapping something. Now you may wonder why. Let's say you have your domain somewhere else. It's not going to work the way mine had worked. Probably just doing the A record. I have to look for a way to configure this to be able to reach the domain provider like HostGator or any other platform which you are actually using to do this. So if you want to walk around how to go about that, you can feel free to leave a comment. I'll be glad to assist you, help you sort that out. So currently A record, then you want to click on that alias. So when you click on the alias, it should give you opportunity to search. So I want to search for alias to S3 website endpoint because I'm hosting in S3. Then you look for your region. Mine is nuts. So once you do this, if you click here, you will find this over there. So this is the blesseduyo.com. I can select it, but I'm not going to be doing this. I just want to show you. Whatever yours is, you select it. Then leave everything default. If you want to do some form of routing policy, you can still do that. If you have probably something maybe to manage latency, or maybe you want to do some what's it called again? Skip my mind. You can play around this stuff, geolocation stuff, failed over stuff, probably anything you want to do, you can do. Probably no harm in trying out that stuff. Then once you're done, you can click create. It's going to create the first one, which I have done. If I go back, you'll see I have the A record for blesseduyo.com. I'm going to repeat the same thing, and I'm going to have to do that for the second one, which should be what I want to create this time around. So still this, but here I have to put the www, which is the subdomain, like a subdomain, not really subdomain basically, to this. So then I'm still creating a record for this subdomain, so it can be redirected to Yeah, that one. So, did I create it? I'm just going to cancel that stuff. All right, so let me create that again just to show you. So if I do dub, then I can, for this, I can set maybe the time to leave. I can set the routing policy as well. This extends up to 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day. Then also right here, the alias, I will have to go do the same thing for S3 endpoints. Then I'll have to select my VPC, my region. Then I have to look for, in this case, I will see because I had created this already in the S3 bucket. I select this content, then I can add other records still within this page anyways. I'm going to cancel this because I don't have to do it. I already have it in there, as you can see. Now, once you're done with that, it means at the bearable minimum, this should be reachable. So if you copy maybe this link, if you just copy this and go to your browser, you should be able to access this, which is what looks like this. So you see, I can reach this. Now, because I had done due diligence over here, in my code block, you will see where I have paste link to, remember when we did the resume, it's currently public, so I can actually grab that link to connect into it. It should be somewhere here, and that's what I've probably copied. Then you can see I have it pasted here, so which means anybody with this link can actually reach my CV. Now on my web application, you will see there is a button here. If I click on this link, it's going to fetch from that S3 bucket, and this is it. They can read it. As a hacker, I can use several techniques to list the content of the bucket, because I had also enabled list, which I'm going to disable immediately after this video. So, but just showing you how they are able to fetch this from the buckets, and the same technique is what works for them being able to fetch the HTML page from buckets, which is what is loaded, and they can see this is a bit responsive, but not as you'll expect. It's just pretty much this basic level. Every link on it is actually responsive. Now if you like something like this, you can see I've got a section for experiences. I've got a section for projects. I can click on this. It's going to load a project which I have on my GitHub repo. I'm building some automation workflow. If I click on this, it's going to load projects in my YouTube channel, which I've actually hooked up in there, so to showcase what I'm actually doing. Cyber project, this is us anyways, in case you don't know us. Then if I click on this, it will take you to the repo where the source code for this project is sitting. Pretty excellent stuff. Then also I have hooked up a basic form. For this form, I'm using this form from spray.io. You can create a free account. You will have endpoint form URL, which you can actually grab and go paste it in your code as well. I have pasted mine somewhere below where the form sits, so someone can actually I think that comes after the skill. Yeah, great. It's somewhere here. Someone can actually access. You'll find the project in there. You can play around with it. One can access it. Then it means if you fill in stuff in this form, I should receive whatever you're filling in my email address instantly. Then I also have links over here, which are all functional. All of them are functioning. You can see it takes you to my GitHub repo. Takes you to my LinkedIn profile. You want to check me out? Okay, this is me on LinkedIn. You should check me out. All right, then also if I click on the Twitter, I should take it to my Twitter. Oh, did I just close it? My bad. I should take it to my Twitter. And, well, this is where I'm going to wrap this stuff up. Well, if you want further details as to maybe how to enabling HTTPS on your because currently it says HTTP only. Well, I didn't bother because it's just a static page, just the front end. There is no back end, so basically no server side code running there. So, but if you want to still see that padlocked in there, I'll be glad to show you. Thanks for your enjoying the content, and please do like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next recording. Thank you. Bye.